At this point, you were an atheist.
I was still an atheist.
You rejected the
Marxist
upbringing.
atheist,
Yeah.
no belief in God whatsoever, but there was something that I wanted to understand. So I exposed myself to it, I immersed myself in it, and something about it started to speak to me and make sense. Now, I was at Cambridge. Apart from the Evangelical Student Union, I wasn't going to join that because I just didn't want to go evangelical again. The Anglicans were the only ones. The chaplaincies were the only ones who I could have this conversation with and begin this journey with. So yes, I became an Anglican, I was christened, but almost within minutes of having done it, I knew that I had crossed a threshold, but I wasn't all the way into home. I wasn't quite there yet. And it was only through further reading, further study, further conversation that I realized, to me, it makes logical sense, but also on some level I still can't quite understand. It makes emotional sense that the church established through St. Peter, the Church of Rome, is the church that I should have been in. It seemed to me to be the natural final step to take. And the measure that it was the right step, because people can think if you've been all these different things that maybe you just can't make your mind up. But I think the measure of the fact that it was the final step is it's now 11 years since I did it, and nothing else has appealed to me since. So I think I'm home.
What's the biggest misconception that evangelicals have of Catholics?
Oh, that they worship statues. And yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I go back and forth between the two all the time because my mum remains a committed Baptist, and I go back and forth, and I hear things all the time. And you know what? Catholics have prejudices too. As I think I said earlier, Catholics think that evangelicals don't understand the Bible or are not very theologically literate. Au contraire, they understand it very, very well, and can be highly intelligent people. But I think one of the biggest prejudices is this idea that the outward forms of Catholicism are what we worship. That we worship Mary and thinking she is an equal to Jesus, that we worship the rosary beads, or we worship the Pope. We think the Pope is literally God's man on earth and can do no wrong and isn't a human being, is almost divine. They have lots of false conceptions like that, and they're very easily challenged, and they have to be challenged because increasingly the great divide in the world today is not between denominations or even between religions. It's between people who, as I said earlier, take the concept of conscience seriously, and those who don't want to have to bother. You literally don't know what the question is, and I can't stress that. People assume we have been given it in advance and we're lying. No, the first time you hear it asked you is the first time you hear the question. And so what everyone does, apart from the poor politicians who have the time to, but what the rest of us on the panel do is we spend a day or two beforehand thinking of every single possible question and every single possible answer so that you're ready with anything. But what always happens is there's always a question about, I don't know, homeless donkeys that you didn't expect. So you're always thrown. And so going into it, knowing that how random it can be means you're always on edge when you're doing it. I'm always worried when I'm on something like Question Time that I'm just going to either totally freeze or say a swear or tell a joke that falls flat. There are so many, and occasionally you do suddenly in the middle of it think, I'm on television and millions of people are watching.